Sorry about that, babe.
What's up, guys? It's Cody aka the Bear here at Bits and Glory, and we're back with another pickups video. I apologize for how long this one took to get out. As of the day of this recording, I did this pickup probably about a month and a half ago already. And by the time you guys see it, it'll probably be close to another week or so. I do want to preface a couple things here before we get the pickups video started. First, there's going to be a little less editing on this video. I've been getting a little bit more intensive with my editing on my pickups, but the truth is, I've picked up way too much shit. I'm going to go through it a little bit quicker. I don't really have the time to go through and make little things pop up for every single thing I got. I'd be here forever doing that, and it's not really worth my time, so just gonna get that out of the way. Secondly, I'm not showing everything in this video that I got in the pickup. Some things still need to be cleaned. The majority of the stuff that's going into my collection that isn't shown on video is going to be mostly wires and controllers, nothing too crazy. And some of the other things that I got from this pickup are not going into my collection, so because of that, I'm not showing them in the video. Some loose Nintendo games, nothing crazy. Some loose N64 games, nothing crazy. The most notable one there would be GoldenEye, but I already have it, as I said. And there's a few systems, like a Sega Genesis Model 1, an Atari 2600, a normal Dreamcast, so on and so forth. Those will not be shown in the video, but they were included in the pickup. The stuff that you guys are seeing, the stuff that's going into my collection, whether I didn't have it before or I needed the case and the manual, something like that. So without any further ado, let's get started with the pickups. The lone GameCube game. Oh, I should probably mention that it's going to be in the title and stuff, but this was from my friend Chris, his parents' basement. This stuff has been sitting down there for quite some time. Very murky, musty, has flooded a lot. As such, a lot of the stuff, I actually had to throw out a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff was disc rotted, damaged beyond repair, so on and so forth. So I'm hoping that the systems, when I really clean them up, they work. But it wouldn't surprise me if they don't. And the reason why I just thought about that was because the first pickup is a GameCube game, UFC Throwdown. Again, this was from a basement haul. I didn't specifically seek out this stuff. Although I would be lying if I said I wasn't interested in playing this. The only other GameCube game that was in the haul, unfortunately didn't make it out, and that was Super Mario Sunshine. It was a disc inside of a case. It had disc rot. Wouldn't boot up whatsoever, so sad stuff. But yeah, that was the case with, I would say 15% of the stuff that I got was I had to throw away. It's sad to do it, but when it's molded and shit, what can you do about it? Alright, next we're going to get into some OG Xbox stuff. We're going to go through quick, like I said, because there's a lot of stuff. I'm not going to do all the editing, alright? We have Genma Onimusha in the generic EB Games GameStop case. I actually used to have this game, and then I guess I didn't have it at some point, but now I have it again. For those of you that know, Capcom, kind of like Resident Evil-ish engine, zombie samurais and shit. It's actually a pretty cool game. The only time I played it, I was on vacation, and then when I went home, I forgot about it because I'm an idiot, so hopefully someday soon I'll finish it. Next, we have SSX 3. Never really played these that much as a kid. I surprisingly didn't have this. I guess I had it on PS2, but this is the version of ESPN NFL 2K5 that I played a shit ton on Xbox Live. To me, Tecmo Super Bowl on the Nintendo, ESPN 2K5, doesn't really matter which console, but I guess I'll say Xbox for arguing rights, and probably Madden 2007 on PS2 Xbox. To me, those are the three best football games ever made, and they've just been getting worse and worse and worse as the years have gone on. I fucking love this game, man. It's so innovative. You even had the first-person mode. You had, fucking MTV Cribs and shit going on in there. It wasn't MTV, but you know what I mean. You had, a house and stuff. People calling you on your cell phone. Such a great game, man. Next, we got Tiger Woods PGA Tour 2005. Not much to say. This is, I think, the start of some of these pickups where it was just case and manual, because I actually got the discs from Chris many years earlier. Sid Meier's Pirates, what is it? Live the Life. Never really played it. I heard good things about the Pirates games, though. Next, this is another game that I had at some point, but I lost it, but now I got it back. So NCAA Football 2005, but it's also Top Spin, which is a pretty sick fucking game. For those of you that like tennis games, I'd recommend it. Also, NCAA football is pretty cool. If I remember correctly, in 2005. Might have been the first one, maybe not, I don't know, where crowd noise affected you if you were on the road. Pretty cool little addition to sports games. Next is 13, the very interesting first-person cel-shaded shooter by Ubisoft. Never really played through it that much. I remember Chris rented this either on Xbox or GameCube at one point, I guess before he owned it. And I remember we did enjoy it in high school. I would like to get to that one someday. And next we got Capcom Fighting Evolution, which looks like it is a compilation of Street Fighter Alpha, Street Fighter 2, Street Fighter 3, Darkstalkers, and Red Earth. Always like these old school fighter compilation disc things. Next, a game that I owned as a kid, that I lost, that I ended up getting the disc from Chris years ago, and now I have a complete Guilty Gear X2. Again, not a huge fan of fighting games aside of Street Fighter 2, to be honest with you. But I remember really enjoying this one. I thought it was really funny. There's some like really weird characters in it. It's very anime over-the-top shit, but it's an interesting game. Next is a series that I've literally never played. Maybe someday. Far Cry Instincts. Not much to say about it, but I heard some of them are pretty good, so we'll see. Another game with a generic case, and that's Colin McRae Rally 4. And here's another one that, again, I had the disc, but not the whole shebang. The Street Fighter Anniversary Collection, which has Street Fighter 3 Third Strike and Street Fighter 2 The Anniversary Hyper Fighting Edition, which I think is Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, basically. If I remember correctly, it's just like a slightly tweaked version. Yeah. Oh, another cool one. I think, didn't they release it on backwards compatible, I think, recently? Well, not recently, it was probably a year or two ago now, but Psychonauts. I never got to this one as a kid either, but it looks interesting. I don't know much about it, but some of the way that things are made kind of reminds me of Crash Bandicoot mixed with like James and the Giant Peach. I don't know. Again, not a huge Xbox guy. I was more of a GameCube guy during this era, aside from sports games playing on Xbox Live. We got Forza Motorsport. Not a huge fan of these games either. I don't like racing games. I just don't. People that like cars and shit love these games. I hate cars. I got a fucking shitty car that's good on gas mileage. The only racing games that I like are Mario Kart 64, Mario Kart 8, F-Zero. That's about it, really. But I've heard really good things about the series. I'm just not really into it. Not my thing. Pretty good baseball game here. I preferred the ESPN series as a kid, but MVP Baseball 2005 was pretty cool. Also had a very interesting soundtrack, although not as cool as ESPN Baseball soundtrack, which had tons of indie music and random shit like Pavement and Fall of Troy and Mogwai. It was really weird. Next is a TL All-Star fave. Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. This is definitely complete. Feels heavy as shit. I would like to get to these games at some point. I'm not a big Star Wars guy, as you know. But I've heard good things about it. And, you know, the archaic nature of some games doesn't really get to me, so I don't really think this would either. And lastly, we have the case for Half-Life 2. So there was 2 copies of it. One was probably Chris's and his brother's. I had to throw one out outright. It was disgusting. This one I was able to keep, but I had to throw away the manual. The manual had mold on it. I still never beat Half-Life 2. Now, don't get me wrong. For those of you that watch my streams, I rage quit Half-Life 1. Not really rage quit. I just wanted to move on to something else. I was really sick of the alien planet. I beat it as a kid on PS2. But I felt like it aged like shit, and most people loved Half-Life 2, and at the time, I wasn't really feeling it, but I realized looking at it, you know, I was probably being an idiot, so I'd love to replay this at some point. I don't know if I'll play it on PC or Xbox, but we'll figure it out. And now, with the power of video editing, you're no longer going to see me reaching down to grab stuff. Alright, now we're going to get to some consoles and knickknacks that are going to be making their way into my collection. As I said, I got a bunch of consoles that I already had that are not making their way into my collection, but these did. They made the cut. So we have the GameCube Game Boy Advance adapter thing. What are some games that use this? Did Zelda 4 Swords use it? And I think Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles used it as well. I surprisingly didn't have it, as much as I do like GameCube, so it's cool to add that one to the collection. And then next, pretty interesting actually. I don't know, I might need a receiver. I feel like looking at it, I probably do need to get a receiver, which I may or may not actually be in the big bin that's to my right. But it's the PS2 remote. Obviously, if you guys remember, PS2 was a DVD player as well, so pretty cool. You know, if I ever want to watch a DVD on the old TV back there, I could use this. But like I said, I think you do need a receiver. It looks like an infrared type of thing on the top. So I'll dig through the box, and worst case scenario, I'll try to find it on eBay. I'm sure the receiver can't be that expensive, probably less than 10 bucks or something. And then the only console that came from the bunch that's actually going to make its way into my collection, pretty cool one that I had my eye on for quite some time. And you know, let me just fix this on the fly. How about that? I didn't like the how tall this was. Yeah, there we go. That's better. And it's the Sega Sports Black Dreamcast. I have a very, very pristine white one that's over here with my HDMI adapter thing in order to record footage appropriately. But I think this baby obviously is making the cut because I've always wanted one. Hopefully it works. This was one that was really, really, really dirty, and I cleaned it up as best as possible, but I haven't tested it yet. And I'll put this baby back with this TV, and it'll be my my old school setup for Dreamcast. I really like black consoles. I just think they look sleeker. My white one's actually like in very pristine shape, like I said, but you know what? This one just looks cooler. Plus the Sega Sports. Sega Sports, man, was fucking awesome back in the day. Love it. But that's the end of the consoles and knickknacks. And now we're gonna get into some magazines. All right, we got some magazines to show off. Unfortunately, as I stated already like 4 times, the basement is dingy, musty, and flooded a lot. So a lot of these were a little bit moisture damaged. They smell a little bit too. They smell musty, I can't lie. But these were magazines that we found that I don't believe I had. Some newer, not newer, but newer age stuff. Like I have a lot of Nintendo Power magazines, but I sort of cut off at the SNES era. So we have Nintendo Power with Pokemon Stadium 2 on the front. Also, I believe these all have the posters as well, which is interesting to note because I need 3 for a section over there, so I might pull those out. We'll see. As I said, some of these aren't in the best of shape, but we have what appears to be, is this the 100th issue? Yes, it is. 100th issue of Nintendo Power. Pretty cool. Definitely didn't have this one before. Next, we have Nintendo Power with Zelda Oracle of Seasons and Ages on the cover. Those are games that I actually do have, but I never got to. As you know, I'm not a gigantic Zelda guy, so I pretty much only played most of the old ones. I will get to those at some point, but artwork's pretty cool. Nice cover on this one. Next, we have Nintendo Power with Paper Mario on it. Is this the N64 Paper Mario? Yeah, it is, right? Yep. Pretty sick. Also, shout outs to Dr. Pepper on the back. I'm drinking a Dr. Pepper Zero right now, so. And now we're getting into a couple miscellaneous things that are not Nintendo Power. You guys remember Game Pro? I do. What's on this one? Portal Runner? Never heard of it, to be honest with you. Very random issue that I would never seek out otherwise. I had some of the old Game Pro magazines from when I was a kid, like in the early 90s. I actually did like their style. Are they the ones that have the... I think they're the ones that have the... Of course, I'm having trouble finding it, but the way that they reviewed the game, it was like fun factor, like they broke it down a lot more, and they had... I don't know, maybe I'm thinking of a different magazine. No, it's here. You guys can see that? The guy's got like his arms crossed and stuff, and when he was really happy, I remember he was like, eh, or some shit like that, but... And then lastly, I didn't have a Dreamcast as a kid, so I wouldn't have never had these magazines, obviously, but I'll just show them both at once. They're both in kind of crappy shape, to be honest with you. Spider-Man Official Dreamcast Magazine and Phantasy Star Online. Boy, these things reek. They just smell like a basement, that's all I'm gonna say. Want to get those out of the way as quick as possible. And I'll probably, even though they're not in great shape, I'll probably board them up and sleeve them just so they don't stink. Because eventually I'm going to have to put them over in that baby blue thing by my thumb. Alright, now let's get into the Sega Genesis games. Alright, nothing too crazy here. The majority of these games I either didn't have, or in the case of 2 or 3 of them, I had, but I didn't have the manuals, or the cases. And these are all complete, so pretty cool. The first is actually pretty funny. It is Rugby World Cup 95. This is a game that Chris and his brother have been low-key like trying to get for a while, and it was in the basement, and now we have it. We've dug it out. I will clean it, and we will play it next time we hang out. So surprisingly, like, people want like 10 plus bucks for that these days, which is weird for a sports game, but whatever. Speaking of sports, we got Pele. I'm sure Schmidt is pumped about this one. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. Not a big soccer or football guy, as everybody else calls it in the world. But some of the old soccer games are actually pretty fun. I really enjoyed Super Soccer on the SNES. And I think I remember enjoying the original FIFA as well. So who knows, maybe this one's good. It's in one of those weird cardboard like slip cases that I think a lot of the sports games by Accolade, they did that. So interesting. I don't think I had this one. The rest I think I had, so I'll do those last. It's Barkley Shut Up and Jam. Not gonna lie, it doesn't look that bad. Doesn't look that bad. But who knows? Might be shit. But oh, it's a 4-player game as well, which is pretty cool. I do have the adapter for that. Never used it though. Next is 3 games that I had the games, but I did not have them complete in box, and now I do. So that's really cool. Again, thank you, Chris, for all this. Appreciate it. We got Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine, which is basically like a Puyo Puyo puzzle game knockoff, as you guys could see. Actually a lot of fun, and I remember sucking ass at it in high school. I probably still suck at it, so who knows. And then we got The Lion King, and there you can see it was Chris's. It's on the box. Again, this is one that I had the cartridge of before, but not complete in box. It's not really focusing very well, but that's not really the point, is it? Very difficult game from what I remember. Lots of knowledge needs to go into that one to be good. Lastly, kind of an underwhelming one to end on. Another one marked for Chris. It is NBA Showdown 94, EA Sports. And that's right, I remember the shaking, right? I believe it's a battery backup game, as most EA, like pretty much every sports game was for the most part. I think the battery was knocked loose on the cartridge, so I'd have to open it up and put it back together. And I'm not really in the mood, so it's probably just going to be a shelf piece. I don't have a soldering iron, so the way that I have to do that stuff is really ghetto. It involves electric tape and X-Acto knives and shit. It works, it just takes forever, and I don't know if the TLC needs to go into that game. Speaking of TLC, these games need it all the time. If you find these games, the batteries are always dead. Did not find the game, if I remember correctly, but we found the box, which is really cool. I had the game, I already replaced the battery, had the manual and had the insert, but didn't have the box. The box was very smushed, it's a little bit water damaged, but I managed to kind of pop it back up into respectable condition for how bad it looked when I got it. And that is Pokemon Silver. One of my long-term collecting goals is to get all the Pokemon games complete in box. I own all the games, I have some of the manuals, I don't have any of the boxes. The boxes, when you combine them all together in some way, shape, or form, is what makes it expensive. So super excited to have that. That's my first box off the list. Need to get red, blue, yellow, gold, silver, fire red, leaf green. Probably gonna cut it off there. Those are the only ones that I really care about, but yeah, pretty cool. Found this on the way out, basically. It was just smushed in some box. I'm like, oh shit. All right. So that's the majority of the pickups, and now we're going to get into the biggest section, and the main reason why I'm not going to do any editing, because we're just going to be rifling through at rapid speed. So, the final part of the collection, as my cat's running around like an idiot. You might be able to see him. Yep, there he is, poking around. N64 games. There's probably 8 of them or so that I'm not showing here, as I had them already. I sold my N64 collection years ago. I started recollecting for it midway, early 2021, but not crazy. I ended up getting a lot of games from that huge haul that I got. A lot of them were in the box, but I still lack a lot of the good titles, and this pickup filled the holes in a lot of ways for the N64. Again, we're just going to kind of go rapid fire here because there's a lot of games. First, we have Star Wars Episode 1 Pod Racer. Next, we have NFL QB Club 98, which was actually one of the only N64 games that I owned as a kid, surprisingly. I had, like, WCW NWO World Tour, that one, Star Wars Shadows of the Empire, And I think I had like one first party game. It was really weird. I got the N64 and I didn't like buy any Nintendo games, of course, right? Next we have 1080. This is, I actually remember enjoying this one as a kid. I'm happy to have that. Label's a little fucked up. Some of the labels are messed up, but what can you do? Mission Impossible. I'm gonna run out of room here on my desk. Banjo-Kazooie. Never played this. Obviously I know about it. I'd like to get to it at some point. I actually have an issue with my capturing device with my N64, which is preventing me from doing stuff right now, so I'm hoping I could figure that out, because I'd like to get an N64 game or two done before the end of the year for the channel. Next we have WCW NWO Revenge. At that point I was pretty much all the way in on WWF, so I don't think I ever played that one, surprisingly. Pokemon Snap. A fun game. A little weird, but still fun. Not necessarily the Pokemon game that we wanted on the N64, I wouldn't think. Wave Race 64. I fucking love this game, actually. I'd love to replay it. Also, it's funny that I'm talking shit on wrestling as I have my WCW shirt on, but it is what it is. I was WWF at that point. I was all in on WCW, but then they lost me. Alright, we got Donkey Kong 64. Cool yellow cartridge. Harvest Moon 64, which is great, coming full circle, because I thought I found this years ago at the flea market, but turned out it was a fake copy, which I ended up giving to Jimmy. Now we got the real one. We got Madden 99. It looks like Belmont back there is trying to take a dump or something, so hopefully he doesn't do it, because it's gonna smell like shit. Real bad shit. Trust me. This little guy, disgusting. Mario Party 2. I'm actually we're gonna be hitting it out of the park here with all the Mario Parties. I'm pretty happy about that. Oh, fuck, I forgot about some Game Boy games, too. They're in the bag. Star Wars, what is it, Rogue Squadron? Mario Party 3. Oh, so happy to get this. Mario Kart 64. It hasn't aged the best if we're being completely honest with each other, but this was the game that I played the most as a kid. Anytime I went over to any of my friends' houses, they pretty much all had that. Excuse me, at the burp. And we just played the shit out of that, man. Whether it was just regular racing or battle mode. So many good memories. WWF No Mercy, which is surprisingly... Well, not surprisingly, it's actually a really good game. It's actually sought after nowadays. And it was one of the only wrestling games that I didn't have from that wrestling hall, along with the other WCW one that I showed earlier. I got a lot of wrestling games in that big video game hall last summer, so... FIFA 64. Ready to Rumble Boxing, a former Blockbuster rental. I believe this is Mario Party 1, right? Label's fucked up, but I'm pretty sure it is. Banjo-Tooie, to go along with Banjo-Kazooie. And I also want to point out that a lot of these games I had, but when I ended up selling my N64 collection to buy a N64 flash cart, which I still have, and also to mod my Jungle Green N64 to output HDMI. So what I was doing was I was like, well, if I want to play N64 games the best way possible, I should get a flash cart and a modded system. So in order to pay for that 6-7 years ago, I sold everything else. But now we're adding it all back, so I'm happy about that. It's always good to have the authentic stuff. Wayne Gretzky's 3D Hockey. Probably my second favorite hockey game of all time behind NHL 94 and the Sega Genesis. It's a fucking great game. And there's also an Olympic hockey game on N64 that is done in the same engine, which is also really good. Just not as cool because it's not, you know, not Gretzky's 3D Hockey. NHL 99. Snowboard Kids, another pretty fun snowboarding game. I felt like my favorite snowboarding era was like this in 1080 and shit like that. Got a lot of enjoyment out of those. I think Snowboard Kids 2 is like really rare or something. I don't really know. NFL Blitz, what is this? Special Edition. I've never played this one. I love NFL Blitz, man. So I'm pretty stoked about that because I'm sure if it's special, probably even better, right? Star Fox 64. I thought that I had this. I mean, I did back in the day when I sold it, but I thought that I rebought it. I guess I didn't, but now I have it again, so I'm pretty happy about that. And lastly for the N64, ending on Madden 64, which actually is one of the better Madden games that came out. And all over the place here. The final two games that were also in the bag were two Game Boy games that I did not have in my collection. The first is Olympic Summer Games, nothing crazy. And then one that I thought that I had, but I guess I didn't. I had like every other game from this series except this one, so I'm happy to get this too. And it's in good shape, which is weird because a lot of stuff isn't. Kirby's Dream Land 2. How could you say no to Kirby? You know what I mean? So that's it, guys. That's everything that we got from the HARVEY basement haul, aside from the stuff that was damaged beyond repair and needed to be thrown away. Aside from some doubles of games that need to be cleaned up and are probably going to be traded. And some consoles and controllers that are still in the box over to my right that need to be cleaned up. So sorry for the more kind of down-to-earth video and not as much editing, but there's too much shit. I have more stuff to work on. I can't really spend, you know, an extra 3 hours editing this video when I could be spending it doing a review or playing a game or something. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. Stay tuned for more pickup videos. Again, gonna be slowing down big time this year. I put myself on a freeze. My wife and I are trying to save as much as possible. I have a pickups video still planned, but after that one, whew, it's going to be few and far between to say the least. So if you guys enjoyed, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. I appreciate everybody that watches and leaves comments, and take it easy, and I'll see you in the next one.